Do you want to start wingsuiting? Do you have a ton of questions about what it takes to start and to improve? Well, keep on watching, because in this video we have a wingsuit instructor here to give you some answers. Ready, set, go! What's up, Skyvibers? It's Catherine here with Skydive Vibes, sharing the passion of skydiving and helping you become better and safer skydivers. So if you're new here, consider subscribing not to miss our weekly videos all about skydiving. So today, this is the second episode of our series, Let's Ask a Coach. And in this episode, we will talk about wingsuiting. So we have a wingsuit instructor here with us, and he's gonna answer your questions. So all over the Skydive Vibes social medias, I did ask you guys if you had any question for a wingsuit instructor or coach, and you did answer with a ton of different questions. And so you'll get your question answered by a wingsuit instructor, and a well-renowned one. Actually, we have Jarno Cordia with us in this video. I'm gonna first let him introduce himself.
My name is Jarno Cordia. I'm a wingsuit pilot. I've got around 5,000 wingsuit skydives. I've got a good 1,000 hours in a wingsuit tunnel, and together with Jenna Gigi, who's behind the camera, we teach wingsuit flying as Team Fly Like Brick. We're current indoor-outdoor champions, and yeah, I'm here to answer some questions.
So thank you so much, Jarno, for taking the time to answer the Skyvibers community questions. And let's start right now with questions around getting started into wingsuiting. So Jason asks, why do you need 200 plus jumps to wingsuit when you are actually introduced to tracking on your A license?
You need 200 skydives to fly a wingsuit, mainly because of all the extra factors that a wingsuit brings in. Deployment has a lot of things you need to watch for, exits from the airplane, navigation, and even though in basis it's a bit similar to tracking, you definitely need that extra experience to be able to handle all the additional stress and all the additional things skill-wise and attention-wise that you need to do during a jump.
How is the feeling of piloting a wingsuit different than the feeling of just skydiving?
Comparing normal skydiving and wingsuiting, I think the biggest difference is just the immense power that is behind every move. In normal skydive, if you make a move, you'll shoot a few meters left, a few meters right, and even though you can also have massive speeds, with a wingsuit the range is basically increased a lot. So it's there a lot more power and of course a lot more time. You know, your skydive becomes almost double as long.
What do you recommend for a progression path from a newly A-licensed skydiver to a wingsuiter? What skills should be practiced and in which order?
For somebody that's fresh off his A license that wants to start wingsuiting, I think the biggest thing you can do is just skydive a lot, and especially don't start doing just tracking jumps. The best preparation for wingsuiting is having a good awareness of what you're doing with your body and a good awareness of others in the sky. So experiencing stuff like free flying and formation skydiving, those will be the things of biggest value.
What are the individual things to work on for a new wingsuiter, and in which order?
For a new wingsuiter, I think the most important thing to work on is just your own skills, making sure that you're fully in control of your suit before you start flying with others. And I think a lot of people are instantly in a rush, you know, start doing groups and start doing other things. But if you're still learning something, it's not a good thing to combine that with jumping with others. So working on your normal flying, like on the belly, working on back flying, working on be it beginner acrobatics, those are all really good elements that serve a basis for later jumping in groups.
What are the best steps for getting started flying in a wingsuit? Should we practice tracking regularly?
A bit similar to a previous question, I think the most important things when you want to get started with wingsuit flying is just having a good body awareness. So working especially on things like free flying, where you're not afraid of being upside down, you know, things like backtracking and especially formation skydiving. Those are all elements that teach you a lot of things that will help you learn faster once you're in a wingsuit, and they'll especially help with the awareness of, you know, what's going on around you. And tracking wise, just the tracking you do at the end of every skydive relative to other people, that'll teach you a lot more than just solo planking for a whole skydive. So there, don't worry too much about tracking, just skydive and have fun.
What is the typical flight path compared to belly or tracking?
Typical flight path for a wingsuit mainly is just allowing for extra distance you fly. So quite often that flight path will be flying a little bit with the airplane, then taking an offset relative to the jump run, and then flying back to the drop zone. And there, the most important aspect about wingsuit flying and navigation is always staying away from jump runs, so that anything that is in the way, be it like high canopies, an accidental high puller, or anything else in free fall, that a wingsuit sort of sticks to their own space on the sides where you don't really get in the way of the other jumpers.
Do you have any tips to deploy with a wingsuit?
Deployment tips in a wingsuit, I think the biggest thing is symmetry and aerodynamics. Symmetry, basically things like don't lean in with the shoulder, because it's quite common to, you know, as you pull, do those kind of things. And another big thing is just make sure you keep a heading, so eyes on the horizon. And especially aerodynamics, make sure that you have a fully nice and arched body position once you're pulling. You know, don't drop the knees, don't de-arch the hips, but stay either straight or even a slight arch. But basically create the smoothest and cleanest body position possible and try to not give any leaning inputs.
Wow, this is all very interesting. So if you like this video so far, give it a thumbs up. And before continuing on, if you've ever wondered what are the actual steps to become a wingsuit pilot, well, you can check out this video I made about how to wingsuit. Now let's dive more into questions around wingsuiting gear. Should I start with a wingsuit or a tracking suit?
It is a common question. Should I start with a one-piece tracksuit or a normal tracksuit before wingsuiting? Even though it is quite similar, especially in terms of, you know, the controls, it's exactly the same as wingsuit. It is not a necessary step for wingsuiting. If wingsuiting is something that worries you when it comes to like reaching rises and everything, then for sure it's an extra step you can take. But if it's about the money you spend, I would much rather spend that on having more, be it free fly jumps, formation skydiving jumps, or just general more experience, instead of investing it in gear that you'll only use for a few jumps if you anyways want to transfer to a wingsuit. So need it? No. Option? Yes.
When you wingsuit, do you use a regular parachute or a base rig? Or does it depend on the type of jump you're doing?
Gear we use mainly depends on the type of jump that we're doing. So if it's anything like jumping from mountains with a wingsuit, or you know, maybe some kind of special demo jumps we're doing where the deployment altitude is a lot lower, then we will use a base parachute. A base parachute is essentially not that different from a skydiving parachute, but it just opens a lot faster. It flies less well, but it's basically built for a little bit more consistent openings. And that is why with like lower pulls, regardless of what environment, we tend to use base gear. But skydiving, it's always just normal skydiving gear, because there you got the advantages of a reserve, an AAD, and just in general, you know, the parachutes that are especially designed for wingsuit flying.
Here I'm gonna jump in for a quick second because I do have a question too. What should someone look for in a canopy for wingsuiting? Do you have any model recommendations?
Looking at a canopy for wingsuiting, I think the biggest thing you want is like nice consistent openings. Size-wise, something that is, you know, not if you have a small line twist or anything instantly going into like scary spins. Wing loads, you know, try to not load it too heavy. I think around up to like a loading of 1.3 tends to be the advice given. Within our team, Jarno and I jumped the WinX from Ater, which is one of the many options out there that are wingsuit specific. There's a lot of canopy options available on the market. We're a particular fan of the WinX because it's actually available in ZP fabric instead of all the ultralight options, which is not any noticeable difference in terms of performance compared to others, but it does have a much longer lifespan. So furthermore, you know, some of the wingsuit options out there are not the strongest with flare, and that is also one of the main reasons why we prefer the WinX. It has an actual normal deployment, normal flare, and just a really good all-round canopy for wingsuit flying.
What is the best way to wash and dry a wingsuit?
First of all, best way is to wash a wingsuit. I think there's a lot of really stinky people out there that have never washed a wingsuit. No, that's, you know, it's like any clothing you wear. It soaks sweat and everything, dirt, so please do wash them. Washing a wingsuit, simplest is just put it in like a pillow casing or put it in some kind of laundry bag. Just toss it in the washing machine and put it on cold wash, light or hand wash cycle. For people that have ultralight fabrics, you might not want to toss it in a washing machine. or like the ZP kind of fabrics, they're just rinsing it under a shower and just letting it dry indoors is probably the best option. For the normal Parapak style fabrics, you can use light laundry detergent, but even just, you know, like a hand wash without soap will work fine.
Here's a funny one. How do you go to the bathroom with a wingsuit?
When it comes to going to the bathroom in a wingsuit, I think too many people already do that partially on the way up in the airplane, but that's unrelated. Going to the bathroom in a wingsuit, in general, I don't think that's the easiest thing to do, so we just tend to do that before the jump or after the jump, and so that's more a thing of timing than it is about you know, managing it while you have the wingsuit on.
Super! So now let's talk about some tips and tricks to become a better wingsuit pilot. Do you have any tips to wingsuit back flying? Because every time I try, I fall almost head down like a rock.
Starting to backfly, I think the biggest thing is try to work on not having legs bent, so legs straight, and try to work on having the legs halfway closed, because initially the leg wing tends to overpower people and throw people head down. So try to focus not so much on good performance in the beginning, but just on stability. And even if you need to be in a complete sit position, that's okay. You know, don't focus on the performance yet, and there, especially leg wing, keep it about halfway closed when you're just starting out.
How do you learn carving, and is it possible with any wingsuit?
Carving with a wingsuit, there's essentially two variants. One is like on axis, so flying straight, you're basically flying the wingsuit in smooth circles. The other one is like complete head down. It is possible with any wingsuit. It is definitely easier with the suits that have backfly inlets, and especially the smaller the suit, the easier it is to learn. The main thing about the carving is that it's a bit like a normal transition, where the technique is not that much different, but just a lot slower. And the main thing to focus on when you're learning it is trying to not throw your body through the sky, but try to really work smoothly with the surfaces of the arm and the leg wing, and try to let that do all the work so you smoothly fly your suit around instead of throwing it around the sky.
How do you make a transition without losing altitude?
Making transitions without losing altitude, that's mainly a thing of smoothness. Again, similar to the carving question we had just before, try to not throw your suit, but try to really work with leaving the wings open and letting the actual surface of the wing be the thing that pushes you over. So the specific technique is something that is a bit too long to go into now, but the main thing is try to not will everything through the sky with force and aggression. The slower you do it, the cleaner the transition and the less the loss of altitude.
Awesome! Thank you so much, Jarno, for answering all those questions from the Skyviber community. And please, can you let us know what is the best way to connect with you on the internet?
Best way to connect is either Instagram, Facebook or YouTube. YouTube, Cordia is the username, Facebook, Cordia is the username, and Instagram, Cordia is the username. Instagram, you can also find our team at Team Fly Like Brick, and that is also where you can find a lot of the information on the wingsuit camps we do in the wingsuit tunnel and the coaching outdoors that we do here or there. If you want to know more about learning to fly wingsuits, also give our website flylikebrick.com a check.
Thanks so much, Jarno, and all the links to his social media profiles and websites are gonna be in the description below. Alright, that was a lot of information. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a like and let me know in the comments below who should be invited to our Let's Ask a Coach series here on the Skydive Vibes channel. If you want to watch other videos from Skydive Vibes, including the wingsuit one, how to start wingsuiting, well, make sure to check those videos here. And on that, keep jumping, stay safe, and blue skies.